Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tamisha, also known as Mrs. Dakota. So today I'm going to be talking about when is the best time to start studying for your NBCOT exam and how long is too long. I'm going to address these questions in this video in detail, in depth. So for sure, stay tuned. I'm going to give you 5 things that I feel like you can implement right now pertaining to this topic. All right. So the first tip I'm going to tell you, and the first thing I'm going to mention, is that it is important to actually start preparing for your NBCOT exam on fieldwork, right? The processing and the thought process about your exam should really actually begin at that point in time. So here's my tip. When you're on fieldwork, it's a good idea as preparation to read over the 3 domains that's on the exam, right? And when you read over those 3 domains, break it down into questions. So for example, as you see on the screen here, I pulled up domain 1 and it talks about collaborating and gathering information. All right. So if you look at the task there and it mentions about knowledge of, these are where you're going to tell your questions from. Okay, so for example, if you're in a pediatric settings, you're going to want to look at the typical development, right, and how that particular child is performing. You're also going to want to look at their patterns, maybe the progression of the disease, if there's a disease happening there. You're going to want to look at the conditions and what's limiting their performance, what's improving their performance, and what bodily structures is influencing them or impacting them. Maybe you have a child that might come from a Muslim family. You want to look at the beliefs and their culture that's going to affect that care. So it's really just looking at what is going to be on the exam, and as you go through your fieldwork, coming up with certain questions and looking for key indicators to help you get more of a clarity. All right. So I'm going to definitely do a little bit more breakdown on how to utilize the information they do give you to help you come up with ways of improving your studying when you are actually ready to begin. All right. So the second thing is you want to keep the momentum going. All right. Celebrate, have fun, enjoy your graduation, right? But I would say after a week, you should start planning what is going to be your study. What's going to be your study plan, I should say. What habits are you going to plan on adapting? So this is why I offer my study guide for those people that feel like they're a huge scatterbrain and they just don't know if they are better with just maybe doing a group study, if they're better with studying by themselves, and what kind of study. Are they a visual learner? Are they an auditory learner? Are they, all these questions. So if you are that kind of person, definitely go ahead. In the description, you will see my study with a code of course. Go ahead, click on that. It'll take you to my information page. You can read all about what that course offers. But it is very important that you create a study plan for yourself. I think the biggest problem I see is people start studying very aimlessly. There is not a plan. There is no structure, no pattern. They're not really sure of what their strengths and weaknesses may be. So all of this is going to play a factor on how efficient, that's a key word, efficient you will be when it comes to your preparation and your studying. All right. Now, the third thing is you want to assess yourself. You know yourself better than anybody else, right? So you need to assess what is your study ratio. So what do I mean by study ratio? That means, are you the kind of person that can study for short blocks or long blocks? All right. Me personally, I am a short block studier. So what does that look like? I can study for, let's say, 2 hours in the morning and then 2 hours at night. That is me. I get my 4 hours in. I'm good. There's some people that can study completely for 4 hours straight and they're perfectly fine. For me, I would be exhausted. My brain would start like falling asleep and I would start checking out. So you need to assess yourself. You need to have a good understanding of how do I manage this studying? And the other thing you want to take into consideration is your environment. Okay, is your environment conducive for you to study for 4 hours? Some of us may have children like myself. At the time when I was studying, I didn't. So if I needed to study for 4 hours, I could by either exiting my house or just creating a separate space where I'm not distracted or anyone is knocking at the door and being interrupted, and that's very important. Now, if you are someone that have children and a busy family life, you may have to break up your studying. Maybe you do 3 hours in the early morning before everyone rises, and then you do an hour in the evening. Now, I would not go over 4 hours a day. Now, there's some people that like to study for 6 hours. Kudos to them. I'm not one and I don't suggest it. Why? Is because I feel like it is very important that you give your brain time to process the information. Okay? And my course is set up to give you daily study information, right? But even though it's set up that way, it's meant for someone that wants a 9-week study plan. Okay, they want to have the information step by step for each day, but that doesn't mean that you get the information on day one and you're not fully, what should I say? You feel like you still need more time on the information. I suggest that you do not just jump over and skip over and go to the next one. If you feel like, you know what, I need to spend a little bit more time, then do so. And I think that tends to happen when people are studying. They run from things that are difficult and challenging versus spending time on working through it. Okay. I'm kind of like moving into my other tip, but that's okay. We'll just flow with it. Right, guys? I'm sorry. I know the sun is coming up. You can kind of see the reflection happening, but that's okay. We're going to keep rolling with this video. So what I would say is take your time to focus on that information. All right. And if it's not clicking, you want to tackle it in different ways. So what does that look like? You're going to have to change up your study for that particular information. So either you do repetition, you pull up and do flashcards, you take notes, you can maybe use someone else to kind of bounce the information off of as if you're teaching them. You can use mnemonic, you can create a song, right? There's different ways you can tackle information that you're just struggling with. It's not clicking, all right? That is very important. That is key, and it's definitely a skill that you need to learn. Of course, I share this kind of information in my course. Now, the next thing. Okay, guys, so I end up fixing that. I like to do my videos early in the morning because I have a little infant and I have a toddler and they wake up. They're such early risers, so I apologize if the sun is coming up while I'm doing my video. But yeah, let's keep going, guys. All right, so the last thing I want to leave you with, because I don't want my video to be too long, is this. And the key question is, how long is too long? So I would advise that you study for 2 to 3 months. Okay, 2 to 3 months. You should not need more than that. Now, that's not to say that you're not a person that needs like 4 months, but really ideally is if you are on a consistent study schedule, studying 6 days a week with 1 rest day in between to enjoy with family, doing activities, not worrying about the exam, just resting, you should definitely be prepared 2 to 3 months. Now, I want to make this clear. This is for someone that has recently graduated, right? You're taking a week to kind of enjoy yourself, celebrate, relax. At the ending of the week, you're starting to plan, how am I going to study? What books am I going to use? If I'm going to take Tamisha's course, if I'm going to take a different course, what's my steps, right? After that first week, and you have your structured plan, you have your study guide in front of you, you should be studying consistently for 2 to 3 months. My study guide is about 9 weeks, but really, ideally, it goes all the way up to 12 weeks, because at the end of the study guide, I have my students just completely focus on questions, 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 timing yourself, questions, questions, questions. Okay. And I say this is because fatigue sets in after 3 months of studying and life happens. Life situations come in, you start getting distracted. So it's very important that you tell yourself and you commit to saying, I will study consistently. Now, the thing that I find, and this is the hard truth, is people would say, yeah, Tamisha, I'm studying. And I'm like, are you truly studying? And you know better than I know that you might not be fully honest with yourself. You might study for like 30 minutes, you might study for an hour, but then you're constantly getting distracted. You're checking your phone, you're looking at your emails. So you're not really doing consistent hours. Also, you might just not be studying efficiently or effectively, and it's just not retaining. So all these things is what I work on in the course with my students. I really try to make myself available to answer any of their questions, especially in our private Facebook group. So without further ado, that is it. I hope that this video was helpful and insightful. If you have any comments or you have a video idea that you would like for me to cover, please go ahead and leave it in the comments below. Until next time, guys, Tamisha, also known as Mrs. Coda, I'm checking on out. All right, take care. Bye-bye.